So I'm not sure if any of you guys have seen this. We don't keep up with our good friends over at Newsmax very often, but I want to show you a little something that popped up on my feed, and I thought it'd be a little interesting to cover. Newsmax is one of those goofy right-wing news channels that popped up after the big split between Donald Trump and Fox News happened, and a bunch of like even further right, insane right-wingers, people who are to the right of Tucker Carlson, surprisingly. I hate that that's real. Went over to places like Newsmax and OAN, and they're still like living by a thread, but they're still around. But things haven't been going too well for them recently, especially since they got banned by the voting box companies who they said are filled with bamboo fibers from the pandas that put together voting boxes in China, as well as have been manipulated by the ghost of Hugo Chavez, who a piece of his soul is stuck in every voting box, and it flipped the votes from Donald Trump to Joe Biden. But that's neither here nor there at this very moment in time. Newsmax is back in the news because they recently had to ban somebody. They recently had to ban a contributor from coming onto their show because they said something quite peculiar. It was quite odd. All right. We could just take a look at this really quick. Newsmax bans Lara Logan after she goes full QAnon, spews blood libel on network. Nearly a year after she was kicked to the curb by Fox News for essentially calling Dr. Anthony Fauci a Nazi, Lara Logan was on Newsmax primetime airways pushing QAnon tropes, invoking blood libel, and fear-mongering about a global cabal planning to dilute the pool of patriots in the United States with 100 million illegal immigrants. Following the publication of the article, Newsmax told the Daily Beast that it will not be bringing her back on the air going forward. Newsmax condemns in the strongest terms the reprehensible statements made by Lara Logan, and her views do not reflect our network. The network said in a statement, "We have no plans to interview her again." Logan, the one-time award-winning reporter for CBS News, has embraced baseless conspiracy theories and an apparent effort to remake herself as a far-right pundit. Her increasingly unhinged rhetoric, though, eventually resulted in Fox News distancing itself from her. Fox News thought she was unhinged. I would like to put that into perspective. Fox News is unhinged, thinks that she's unhinged. And the loss of her series on the network's streaming service. I want to see something really quick. Fox's Lara Logan digs in, boosts attacks on Auschwitz Museum. Pardon me, ma'am? Pardon me, ma'am? Turned right-wing bomb thrower, doubled down on comparing Dr. Fauci to a Nazi war criminal, attacking the Auschwitz Museum in the process. What you see on Dr. Fauci, this is what people say to me. He doesn't represent science to them. He represents Joseph Mengele, she exclaimed, adding, "And I am talking about the people all across the world saying this. Many people are saying this because of the response to COVID, what it has done to countries everywhere, what it has done to civil liberties, the suicide rate, poverty. It is obliterated economies, sparked intense backlash from the Jewish organizations and Holocaust memorials. The Anti-Defamation League condemned the former CBS News reporter for making outlandish and offensive analogies, but the American Jewish Committee called her comments utterly shameful. Logan, rather than apologizing or back off of the comparison, decided to double down, taking aim at Fauci over his research and work during the early days of the AIDS pandemic. Logan shared a slew of articles suggesting that the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases director had done more harm than good. A number of links she posted to Twitter were far-right conspiracy websites such as the Gateway Pundit, the Bulwark Christian Vanderbolk, holy shit, noted. Logan also linked sites that peddle outrageous theories that HIV was entirely fake and obsessed over Freemasonry. What? Outside of turning to the fever swamps of the internet to prove herself right on Fauci, she also amplified attacks on the Holocaust remembrance groups to her 197,000 Twitter followers for merely denouncing her Nazi ideology. Sorry, her Nazi analogy. Shame on the Auschwitz Museum for shaming Lara Logan for sharing views that Jews like me believe that Fauci is the modern day Mengele. Oh my gosh. She did that. Anyways, let's look at what she's been doing recently.
Friend of ours, an investigative journalist extraordinaire, and more importantly, a good friend of mine as well, Lara Logan. Welcome, Lara.
What a friend.
Lara, I mean, it's amazing what's going on right here in this city, New York City. These invaders, these illegals, when Mayor Adams takes them in, they're building 10 cities. There's Xbox, invaders? There's entertainment for them, there's 3 square meals.
Isn't Fauci Jewish? I'm pretty sure.
Where inflation's going through the roof and you can barely feed your family, why not come here? It's a much better lifestyle for them.
Well, not only is it a better lifestyle for them, Eric, but basically you're creating a two-tier system where people who come here illegally and break the law are absolved of any responsibility for that. And then they're subject to a different set of rules to every other American. And it's really interesting because, you know, we live in a moment where you can see all over the place that this administration is desperate to incite some kind of event, right? Incite people to act. That will prove the lie of white terrorism and white supremacy in America today.
Oh my gosh, she says they're baiting us. By Biden not executing these migrants, they're baiting us to do another shooting. Huh? She's like, migrants, this is bait. He's pushing us.
And give them an excuse to crack down, right? They need to rise that fire. And when you see the way that they're flaunting, the separate set of rules for illegal immigrants, you have to wonder and at least ask the question if part of the motivation, or maybe just one of the benefits, is that they know that they're rubbing the face of the average American in it, especially at a moment in this country where people's mortgages are going through the roof, where food prices are going through the roof, where
Woman
people
thinks
are very
we own
soon going to start losing their homes, losing their jobs, and so on. And, when you look at that in terms of the bigger picture here, anyone who's trying to unite this country, anyone who's trying to strengthen the economy and save the economy, they're not doing what the Biden administration is doing. And all of this nonsense about, how you need illegal immigrants to come and do the jobs Americans are too lazy to do. You know what? I live in a town of illegal immigrants and nobody wants to do that work. Okay? Nobody, not even the people who are illegal a lot of the time. And so, all people are the same, really. That's what I'm trying to say. All people are the same. And when your own people are in the most dire economic circumstances that they've been in living memory.
I thought she said we were the same.
You would be creating a second-tier system that...
Where does my and your people come from?
Doesn't help the people who are illegal very much either. I mean, you may get a place rent-free in New York City, but if you don't get a job and you can't feed your kids and you're far away from home, and, there's no future and so on and so on, these people's lives, while they may be easier in some respects than Americans, they're not great for them either, especially when you consider that they were brought here by terrorists, right?
It's the first step. It's the first step of divide.
This is living a life better than living in this sterile white tent is better than. I mean, I will say it is more room than your average New Yorker gets in their like NYC apartment. I will say that part's true. That part's true. Your average New York like living room is the size of one of those tables. But, I wouldn't say it's necessarily better. Yeah, living in a crisis center. I mean, if living in a literal crisis center like FEMA camp is better than living in an apartment in New York, I feel like that's not the that's not the migrants' fault. If I'm going to be honest, I don't think that's the migrants' fault.
It's the first step of divide and conquer. It's the first step of getting citizenship and voting rights to these illegals. You piss off, you tick off the people who are picking up the tab for this in the.
Can you imagine this? Just look at this. Look at this, okay? Migrants treated better than New York City residents. And then this is the picture that they show. This is the picture that they show. They're sleeping on picnic tables. What is happening? This is being... I think like your average person in New York at least has like a bed. I think they at least have a mattress. Damn, those New York City residents are fucked. Yeah, I mean, if this is better than your average New York apartment, then damn.
New York City, the place where Mayor Adams is giving these people, Xbox and meals and entertainment and beds, and in New York
they're
City,
treating them like human beings.
8.5% tax in New York State, another 4.5% just to live and work in New York City. You're paying 50% of your income to the government, one way, shape, or form, and you're ticked off. Meanwhile, these people are coming in and freeloading. So you divide the population, and then you conquer.
They live in a tent.
You get them to agree. You get your side to agree to give these people.
They live in a tent. These people live in a tent. They got some Goodwill couches and then set it up with an Xbox Series X with probably like Halo Infinite on it, and now you're saying that this is being treated. I don't know, man. Like, we used to live in New York. I don't think it was this bad. Have things really gotten that bad in New York these days?
Voting rights, and then you never ever see a conservative holding.
Yeah, they get mayonnaise.
And you're 100% right, Eric. But you know what? It's even bigger than that, because I spoke to a man who was actually holding the
get popcorn machines.
He told me about it, right? He said he infiltrated the global cabal at the UN level, right? And one of the things that he was able to tell me about from his own personal experience, what he witnessed himself, was these documents that show that there is a plan. And this was several years ago, right? The plan was to infiltrate 100 million illegal immigrants. And at that point, they were already at 40 million. And these people would dilute what they called the pool of patriots. Those were their words, right? And they would not be taught that America is a great country and trained to sing the national anthem with pride and so on and so on. You still do all the negative things that we're taught.
You know what? They'd learn to sing the national anthem with pride if you allowed them to become a citizen. Like, you learn about American history, you learn to speak English, and then you sing the national anthem, and then they give you like your like ID card, and then you go on your way. But Republicans don't want them to do that. I want them to do it. I want them to do it.
About the U.S. today that our own children are taught. And what would be the effect of diluting the pool of patriots? Well, it would be to break down this sense of pride in being American.
They'd be horny for e-girls.
Be American. And why was that so important? Well, because part 2 of that plan is to go to these people and say, you know what? You got relatives in Guatemala and in Mexico and here, there. It's really hard for them still. You should be able to send money more easily. You should be able to visit them more easily. They should be able to travel here, move here more easily. Why don't we have, guess what? A regional government, Canada, the US, and Mexico.
What?
And once you break down nationalism and you break down national sovereignty with a regional government like that, these are the steps to one world government. They're not stupid enough to tell you what they really
This man is not stopping her and her insane rants.
At the end of after the 2020 elections, when Obama said we should never have used the words defund the police. It wasn't because they don't want to defund the police. It was because telling people your intent when it's that extreme and radical and nobody wants it. Right, except the lunatics.
It's right out of the playbook. Right out of the socialist playbook. You divide and conquer. You don't tell them your intent. You get people to come in. You got your useful idiots. Those of us who are paying for these people to have all these luxuries, and they lie about it. Yeah. How does it end?
Well, badly.
How does it end? Oh no!
It ends badly for some. Okay, so on a serious note.
Oh no!
People of all faiths have said to me that this is a spiritual battle. I am a firm and solid and immovable believer in God. And I believe that God wins. I believe that good is greater than evil. And I believe that the fallen angel, otherwise known as Satan, doesn't get to prevail in this world. So if you follow the Bible, or if you follow the Quran, or you follow the Book of Mormon, people talk in various different ways about the end times. And if you fight for God, God will fight for you. But humanity.
Final thought, Lara. Final thought, though. I have to ask you this, because my audience is very God-fearing, God-loving, etc. Final thought. Only a couple of seconds, please. Is God okay with a closed border?
It's much bigger than that. God believes that in sovereignty and national identity and the sanctity of family and all the things that we've lived with from the beginning of time.
We're just making shit up.
And he knows that the open border is Satan's way of taking control of the world through all of these people who are his stooges and his servants. And they may think that they're going to become gods. That's what they tell us. Yuval Noah Harari and all the rest of them at the World Economic Forum. You know, the ones who want us eating insects, cockroaches, and that while they dine on the blood of children.
Yeah.
Those are the people, right?
Wait.
And they may think that they're going to become gods. That's what they tell us. Yuval Noah Harari and all the rest of them at the World Economic Forum. You know, the ones who want us eating insects, cockroaches, and that while they dine on the blood of children.
Yeah.
Those are the people, right? They're not going to win. They're not going to.
Average conservative talk show. Average conservative talk show. You know, the people that dine on the blood of children. You know, as they do. As they do. Boy, they be slurping that blood. What the fuck is wrong with these people? They're blowing my mind, bro. This is insanity.